Upgrade your classic game room to CGR Hyper Mark III. Classic Game Room presents Magnum Skywolf, the helicopter action comic strip, now on Patreon. Banished from Earth, Classic Game Room broadcasts from the intergalactic space arcade on its never-ending mission to review everything. Welcome to Classic Game Room. This is Sega Genesis Fanboy Mark, bringing the review of OutRun for the PC Engine. Sega Genesis Fanboy Mark is also a fan of the PC Engine. What it lacks in blast processing, it more than makes up for with Truxton! And a lot of other really good games, like this. Originally released to the arcades in 1986, OutRun is considered by many to be one of the greatest video games of all time. For good reason, because it is. It's a lot of fun. Yu Suzuki's racing masterpiece has withstood the test of time and remains every bit as fun now as it was 30 years ago. Not quite as visually impressive as it was back in the day. I remember seeing this game in the arcade in the 80s thinking, holy crap, driving games will never look better than this. Well, driving games do look better than this, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're more fun. OutRun is brilliant. It's like this choose-your-own-adventure driving game where you pick the path through the race, and that's not something that you saw back in the day. That's really not something you see these days. Each environment is totally different. It's like you're driving around the world, experiencing exotic places, and then crashing into them. While you're playing this, you've got to keep in mind it was originally an arcade game meant to eat your quarters, so the gameplay is reasonably short. Especially if you crash, then you're screwed. As you've probably noticed, you're being scored for the distance that you travel, but I don't think the game is really about score. It's about reaching the end. There's numerous paths through the game, giving it infinite replay value, and 5 different locations to arrive at. 6 if you include Wendy's. Hooray, you've reached the goal and your Ferrari breaks down. I hope that's covered under warranty. So how's the PC Engine version of OutRun compared to the numerous other console versions out there? I would say it's one of the best. The PC Engine handles this game with ease. It looks great, it plays well, the controls are responsive, and the sound is really good too. The music is excellent. If you want, you can turn the engine noise off. I like to know what gear I'm in. First or second, that's all there is. I like to know how much I need to brake before hitting a turn. If you see the turning signs, throw on the brakes quickly before you start turning. That should prevent you from sliding into most of the obstacles. The key to getting through OutRun is not to crash into things. Use your brakes. Slow your car down, it'll take less time than flipping over and over and over, exploding and finding yourself floating through the R-zone. Level memorization will also help, but you can never predict what the other idiots on the road are going to do. Kinda like real life. And you don't have a chainsaw. What's the best path through the game? You know, everyone has their favorites. I think the top ones are probably the easiest, but once you memorize the bottom ones, they're not too bad either, provided you don't run into something. There's 3 difficulty settings you can choose from 3 different radio stations, and as you can see, the game looks and plays really nicely on the PC Engine. I'm very impressed with this thing. For years I've heard how good the PC Engine is. Now that I'm spending more time with it, I agree. This version of the game is kind of pricey, but I think you get what you pay for. If you want a less expensive home console release, go for the Sega Genesis version of OutRun, but I think this one is better, and yes, that pains Sega Genesis fanboy Mark to admit it. I have two people to thank for this review. Mark from East Meadow, New York, sent the PC Engine to the show, and Ahmed from Springfield Gardens, New York, sent OutRun. Thank you to both of you. Ahmed, who goes by Alpha Roid, also sent some other super cool PC Engine and MSX stuff to the show, so you'll be seeing a lot more of those game systems soon. See you next time on Classic Game Room, Mark III. Thank you for watching. Follow Classic Game Room on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Patreon. Don't miss Magnum Skywolf, also on Patreon. Welcome to the club. It's the Lord Carnage Club, where I give thanks to these backers on Patreon. Starting with Jim Moriarty, Sergio Matthias Hergert, Zach Brenner, Jason from Kamloops, British Columbia, Busy Signal! Yeah! Woo! Shadow Minion 4, Lord Carnage, Al Stiver, Sean Zoltek. Nah, I'm just kidding. Sean Zoltek! Stephen Chucknick from New Jersey, Landon Ellerby, so Lando, Philip Straubenmuller of Vienna, Austria, Jack Stavros from Australia, Ohad Kane, Jeff, Captain Dauntless, Briar, Rick, DeBarros, Will, Kid Shuriken, and Chip Sinkbale. See you next time on Classic Game Room, Mark III.